Welcome back to Podiatry Marketing. I'm your host, Jim McDannald. Joined as always with my trusty co-host, Tyson Franklin. Tyson, how's it going today?
Hi, fantastic today, Big Jim. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Ready to jump in. I know that you have a little interesting side note you want to jump in on, but so I won't delay that.
Yeah, before we get on to what today's topic is actually going to be why some podiatrists don't like marketing. But before we get there, if people listen to episode 170, when we were talking about the business name strategy and protection, and on that episode, we were being very clever. We kept referring to ourselves as ABC Podiatry. And we said, hi, we should register that name. That's a really cool name. There is an ABC Podiatry, so we found out. So if ABC Podiatry has been listening to our podcast, they would be going, this is great. We've been mentioned a lot. So just let everybody know there is an ABC Podiatry. So we will be coming up with a new name, XYZ Podiatry. We haven't checked that one yet.
No,
But I
but
just thought that was funny. But
yeah,
we both said, that
they're in Columbus, Ohio. So yeah, like I just Googled them and took a look. So yeah, XYZ Podiatrists. I don't know. Let me Google real quick here and see. So I have to use
because,
them.
yeah, I thought it
I
was
don't see
funny.
XYZ Podiatry. No, I think we're good.
We're good. Okay. So from now on, we'll be XYZ Podiatry because we don't want to infringe on anyone's copyright that all of a sudden they go, that is my own name and you're bastardizing it.
Yeah, we don't want to slander anybody on accident. So
No. Okay. So today's topic, why some podiatrists don't like marketing. And I've heard this, I don't know, decades of podiatrists saying, oh no, I'm not really into marketing because they go, oh, I'm not a salesperson. Or when they think of marketing, they think straight away that they've got to be sleazy and they've got to lie to people to get people to come through the door. And I actually think they're really just lying to themselves. I don't think they really believe that marketing is evil. I just think they don't know how to do it, or they've just got some misconceptions of what marketing actually is.
no, it is tricky because I think a lot of people, maybe they get into medicine or sometimes in podiatry and they think, okay, I'm not going into business. I'm not, I just want to go help people and
Mm.
do the medical side of things. And marketing is maybe one of the kind of least things that they're interested in, or just they have no, they don't really like it for some reason. But I think like whether you're trying to, talk to a patient about a specific type of treatment that they need, or a device that would benefit their livelihood or their ability to kind of do their normal daily activities, there is some kind of marketing in that. The way you communicate with people, the way you convince people that this is the right treatment for them, requires some kind of level of persuasion and ability to kind of help communicate with them why it's important. And I think a lot of those same things are super important in marketing as well.
Yeah, well, I think they lie to themselves to actually hide the real reason why they don't do marketing. So I've written a list of things down that I think is what stops them liking marketing, because they think this is what's really happening. And the first one is they think marketing is time consuming. And there is if you're going to market your business properly, you need to understand it. You do need to put a little bit of time and effort into it. And I think they have a fear that if they put too much time into marketing, they'll be taking time away from looking after their patients, or just looking at other operations in the business that they think are more important than marketing. Whereas I actually think marketing is probably the most important, because without it, you're not going to have that steady stream of patients coming through.
Yeah, if there's no awareness of your expertise or the services you provide in your clinic, then you're just going to have a super quiet practice with no one coming in the door, right? So there has to be some level of people knowing about you, and marketing is the way you make that happen.
Yeah. And I think the second thing is they're uncertain whether there's actually a return on investment. So they're thinking, well, if I'm doing all this marketing, how do I know if the money I'm spending is actually bringing in the right amount of revenue? And that is, I remember seeing a quote, I think it was the company Kitcher and Levin or something like that. And it was the CEO of this multi-billion-dollar company. I remember him saying, 50% of my marketing works and 50% doesn't. I just wish I knew which 50% it was.
Yeah. The different marketing opportunities definitely can feel like a black box at time, right? Like you have either you're doing the marketing, someone in your practice, or maybe you're working with someone outside consultant, but you have these kind of black boxes or these different channels that you try to market in, whether it be Google or newspaper ads or radio or door to door or different types of like maybe not door to door, but maybe like mail types of campaigns. You know, sometimes you can tell what's working and not working, right?
Mm.
But like a lot of the time, like you said, 50% of the time, it's like, did this come from this? Whether you're doing Facebook ads for awareness, like there's no click through that's going to tell you whether, if someone saw your Facebook ad and then comes and sees you 6 months later, there's no way to attribute necessarily that to that ad. So there can be this kind of kind of unclear ROI, like you talked about. But you kind of have to look at trends in your business and kind of pair that with the activities you've done from a marketing perspective to really kind of tease out what the true ROI of your marketing efforts are.
Yeah, and that's why you just need to keep there's simple numbers that you can keep track of. But even just the question of asking patients, how did you find out about us? And don't assume the first thing they write is the truth. So if the patient said, "Oh, Dr. Smith referred me," oh right, and I used to say to them, "Go, so you were in the room with Dr. Smith, and Dr. Smith said you need to see a podiatrist and you need to see Tyson." He pointed at you and said, "You need to see Tyson." They go, "Oh no, no." What happened is Dr. Smith said, "I need to see a podiatrist." I said, "So what did you do then?" They said, "Oh, so then I went online and I said, I need a podiatrist that treats this. And then your thing came up first." Did my video just freeze then?
It's freezing
Oh,
like on the live thing, but you should be fine.
okay, that's right. Yeah, so they go online and all of a sudden they typed in something and your name came up first. I read through that article. That's exactly what the doctor was talking about. And that's why I came in and saw you. And you go, okay, so yes, the doctor recommended podiatry. So they told me a couple of things. One, I need to educate the doctor to let them know that we're the person that you come to for that problem. But also, I would then contribute that to an article I wrote on my website. I wouldn't give that referral to the doctor. So the return on investment was the effort I put into writing that blog article.
Right.
So, and this is why you need to ask the patients a question. How'd you find out about us? And dig into it deeper. I do the same thing when I have a coaching client approach me. I say, I had a curiosity. How'd you find out about me? And they'll go, oh, let me think. And I go, oh, is it through the podcast? And I love it when they go, have you got a podcast? I go, you're shitting me, really? 2 podcasts. And it's come through something else, either research they did or they were talking to somebody else that had worked with me previously. So it's really important to dig deeper. And that's when you'll find out whether you are getting a return on your investment or not.
Absolutely.
And what's really good one, I remember we used to advertise on TV back in the day when TV advertising worked really well. And I think in certain towns and areas it still does. But we would advertise on TV a certain period of time, and you would always see the numbers. How'd you find out about TV? So it was really obvious. We would then not advertise for 6 months, but then one of the other podiatry clinics would. And we say, how'd you find out about us? I saw you on TV. Yeah. When was that? Oh, last week. Okay. We hadn't advertised for 3 months. And this comes back to, I know this is in my marketing talks. I don't know if we've done here about owning that space.
Right.
If you can share that message first before anybody else does, when somebody else mentions it, they will think of you straight away. They won't actually think of the other business. That's a side thing.
That's excellent.
The third thing reason I think, well, the lie that they create for themselves to say that reason why they don't like marketing is just a lack of expertise. They feel like they don't have the knowledge or skills to actually execute a marketing plan properly. Don't know where to start, don't know what to do. There's so many options out there. And that's where you and I come in. That's where I think if anybody needs help with marketing, they can talk to me. They can talk to you. If somebody wants to know about online digital marketing, setting up Google ads and all that, I will direct them to Jim. It's not what I don't do that. I don't want to do that. But if somebody wants to know about putting together a strategy and coming up with some unique ideas about their particular business or their community, then I love doing that sort of stuff.
No, I think that's a great point. And I think today with the internet and just the amount of content that's out there, I think used to be maybe there wasn't a lot of good resources, right? Like there's only a few things they could look, maybe there's a couple books about marketing your podiatry practice or medical practice, talking to maybe other people that are in practice, or kind of the resources that people had in order to figure out how to market their practice. Nowadays with the internet, podcasts, all kinds of stuff, there's so much information about different forms of
Ton.
marketing, that trying to find kind of the signal in all the noise is very difficult, because the way you market a practice or a podiatry practice is not the same way you market a certain product, right? And whether it be, so there's different ways of marketing different types of things. So sometimes they'll see, I'll have get on a call with somebody like, oh, I want to do this thing and I want to market in this way. And I'm like, well, where'd you read that at, or where'd you hear about that? And usually it's something that's not. I mean, you can definitely take some things away from the way that Nike or other types of people are marketing things. There's definitely takeaways, but if you want to be visible in your local area, there's very kind of concrete things that need to be kind of put in place to make sure that that happens. And I think there's not always a great kind of information resources that are kind of aggregated for people to know that that's right for the practice. So obviously reach out to Tyson and I. We can either help you personally or kind of send you in the right direction for things that's going to help benefit you and grow in your practice.
Yeah, and it's even as simple as somebody go, oh, I want more patients in my clinic. And you go, oh, right, okay. Who's your ideal patient? Oh, why is that important? Backhand, straight away, slap. I need some sound effects here, slap. And I'm like, if you don't know who your ideal patient is, then how do you start putting together the strategy on the type of business that you actually want to build? And some people go, oh, everybody is my ideal patient. I go, okay, so people who've got no money are your ideal patient. Well, no, I want people who have money. Okay, so we've narrowed it down slowly. There's at least 50 questions you could ask about identifying an ideal patient, but that's the lack of expertise. So number 4, the lie that I think marketing is extremely costly. And it can be if you're not getting a return on your investment. And that's why I think it's important. If you're going to spend money on marketing, is you need to make sure you're spending it in the right areas. And yes, sometimes it will not be a guaranteed result. But I've worked with enough people that I know that if they do certain things in certain places, I just know they're going to get a result from it.
Absolutely. It's about just kind of not taking a scattershot approach. I think sometimes when people, if they jump in too much, right, they don't kind of have a consistent kind of build in the type of marketing channels. They are going from like the high ROI opportunities to lower ones. That's where I see people that kind of get frustrated or think that it's too expensive, right? You're trying to do 5 or 6 things off the bat, and maybe they aren't necessarily the kind of the right order to do things. Obviously, you have to have a great website to start off with, and then you can start building up some of these other tools that get traffic to that website. But there's, it doesn't have to be costly right away, but you just need to make sure you're doing things in the right order.
And I love that point too. To me, your website is like number 1, because everything you do should be leading back to the mothership, back to the website, because that's what people are going to be searching for. And I've seen businesses, and then I've gone to find their website and they don't have one. And I'm like, seriously, you don't have a website? And like I was recently at Mission Beach, a couple of businesses down there I really liked, didn't have websites, didn't have a social media presence. And I'm like, how can I tell people about you,
Right.
or recommend that they go to see you, or I want to tag you on a photo that I took, and I can't, because obviously, and what's funny is sometimes these will be the same businesses that are going, oh, geez, it's really tough at the moment. I'm going,
But
of
they're
course it's
invisible.
tough. Yeah, because you're invisible. You can't be found. People want to talk about you, but then they talk about you. People go, oh, I'll go online and find them, or can't find them.
Right.
So anyway, number 5 is, we sort of touched on this already, overwhelming options. There's so many marketing options out there. And I think if you try and take on everything, it's like, say, trying to eat an elephant, very hard, one bite at a time. You've got to do a couple of things and do them really well. And when you know what's working, you do more of that. When you know what's not working, you stop doing that, and then you try something new. And you keep testing out these different things until you find what is the best strategy for you. My marketing system when I had my podiatry clinic was so simple. We just had 3 or 4 things that we did really well. We were always testing new things. So we're never just doing, oh, these are the 3 or 4 things we're going to do and never do anything else. But we're constantly testing things. But yeah, there's so many options out there. And that's why it helps if you've talked to someone that's actually done it before.
Yeah, I think the overwhelming options is a thing, and it's also, kind of getting caught up with the bright shiny object thing, right? Obviously, whether it be TikTok or things that are coming on online, being aware of those things I think is important, but see a lot of people kind of do a lot of starting and stopping. Like, "Oh, I like that thing didn't work," or, "Oh, this thing, I wanna try this new thing over here." For kind of being, kinda scatterbrained and kinda jumping thing from thing to thing and not kinda getting traction and momentum, with some of these channels. Obviously, if you try something for 6 to 12 months and it doesn't work, probably not gonna work, but I see sometimes people go from instead of, taking things on a quarterly basis, they're trying to do things on a month-to-month basis. When you're doing that, that's just kind of a recipe for frustration and for wasting money. So, you know, there are a lot of different options out there. Just make sure that you spend a quarter or a couple of quarters or 3 quarters seeing whether something is working or not, and making sure you've kind of tested out the limits or the different options available in that marketing channel before you give up on it and move towards something else.
It's even with podcasting. 95% of podcasts never get past 10 episodes. They call it pod fading. And it's the same
Right.
thing. It's that 10 episodes is almost that 3-month mark. And they've got to that 3-month mark. They're looking at the figures and going, for the effort I put into it, it's not really getting any traction. So they give it up. Whereas you see the people that have done 20, 50, 100, what are we up to? 160 something, 170 something.
Yeah.
Podiatry Legends is, 360 something. So it's, to be long term, you've got to give something time to see whether it's working. We wouldn't still be doing this if we didn't think it was working for us.
Absolutely.
Anyway, number 6, I think is an interesting one, where this is one of the lies I think people tell themselves, or it's one of the things they do tell themselves to make them think they don't like marketing, is really just a fear of failure. And they're concerned that, if I do it and it doesn't go very well, is it going to affect my brand? Will I look silly as an individual? And I think some people are scared that if they try something and it doesn't work, will their team look at them and go, "Well, yeah, told you that wouldn't work." So I think they're scared that if I do marketing and it fails, it's going to make me look silly. You only look silly if you do marketing that is silly. And I don't think I can't recall any podiatrist where I've seen them do something other than some of the silly names that they've done some poor marketing. I've gone, oh, that looked really, really stupid. I don't think I've really seen that too much in podiatry. Nothing that sort of jumps out at me.
Neither me. I think sometimes it's more kind of like the boring, bland marketing that you kind of see. That's like it's almost like they feel like they have to do it, so they're gonna kind of do the kind of normal, Happy 4th of July, Merry Christmas, kind of like those like kind of all the holiday, all the kind of Facebook posts that are all kind of just generic,
Oh yeah.
stock image. It's not you and your team. It's not you and your staff. I have no problems with holiday stuff if it's a little bit more original, but you should see these marketing agencies that sometimes podiatrists hire, and it's just like it's across like 30 other Facebook pages for clinics as well. It's
Yeah.
just kind of vanilla generic content. And like that's not I would say that's not embarrassing, but I feel like people will do that when they feel like they have to like everyone's telling them they have to market, so they're gonna spend 250 or $500 a month just on like some marketing. They have their website, they have like someone posting these things onto their Facebook, and like they're trying. So like that's enough for them. They kind of dip their toes a little bit in the water. But really, in reality, in order to kind of like truly make an impact, it has to be something that's custom that actually is something that people would like to interact with. And that's harder. It's going to cost more money. But when you allow yourself to do the kind of like low level stuff, it kind of quells that fear. You can always tell people like, well, I'm doing some, look at this. I'm doing some marketing, right?
Mm. Yeah. Well, I had, when I did my marketing masterclass in Liverpool, and I said to a few people, if you're thinking about doing this, and I showed them an example, don't. I said, instead, try this. And I showed them an example of something else. I think it was 3 days after the event, someone sent me a message and just went, normally I would have done what you said, but I didn't. Instead, I did this and I sent it to these people. And I've made 3 times back what it cost me to go to the marketing workshop within 3 days. They go, and I'm still just getting calls about it. And they went, that actually works. And I had another person just yesterday who were talking about recall system, and they were telling me what their recall system is. So I said, how's that working for you? Because they were doing, send a text message to remind people it's their recall. And I went, oh, it's so lazy and impersonal. And I said, do this. And I showed what to do. I spoke to him yesterday and they went, my God, that old school shit works, doesn't it? I said, I told you it works.
There you go.
The telephone can be a powerful tool when used correctly.
Absolutely.
So the last one is just about inconsistent results, is what you touched on before. A lot of times you'll get inconsistent results from your marketing if you're being inconsistent with the effort that you're putting in. And sometimes people will only market when they're quiet, and then as soon as they get busy, they just basically stop again. So they've got all these peaks and troughs just constantly with their marketing. And because it's inconsistent, they go, yeah, well, I don't like marketing because it's inconsistent. You go, no, you're inconsistent. It's got nothing to do with marketing.
No, that's a tricky one. I think also, I find that when it comes to results, you need to kind of look at long-term trends and not necessarily like month to month. Obviously, if there's huge drop-offs and there's issues that need to be addressed, definitely address them. But, sometimes for example, a clinic I'm working with right now, they have like a lot of traffic, probably a lot more than a lot of podiatry websites, other ones I worked with in the past, but they're getting traffic from all around the world on all these blog posts that aren't necessarily going to draw local patients to their clinic. So, I've tried to take an approach with them, which is more about, building local pages, running their ads that attract kind of people within their specific locality, people within 20 minutes of where their clinic is. And, if you look at the amount of traffic we have, the traffic is going down a bit. But at the same time, the amount of traffic we're getting to these relevant local pages is like exploding. And the amount of leads they're getting is kind of moving in the right direction. So you have to kind of understand what your goal and your opportunities are, and making sure that you're kind of following these like long-term trends, and that you're really kind of going after those people locally. And when you do that, you'll have success. But if you're just chasing kind of vanity metrics, or you want to get a lot of traffic, but they're not from the people that will actually come and see your practice, you kind of have to find ways of, there's going to be downtimes occasionally, but part of you kind of going through the marketing journey is learning about how you can overcome them with consistency, and consistency is that key, as you mentioned, Tyson.
Yeah, and I do think just long term, it's just experience. The more you do it, it's no different to being a good podiatrist. I know there's people say they'll say, I don't like marketing, and we've given them reasons why they probably are telling themselves they don't like marketing. But there's other people who say, oh, I don't like biomechanics. And it's probably exactly the same reasons. It's these things that they tell themselves because they're just not going in there and doing the work. If you do the work in biomechanics, you understand biomechanics better, you actually start to enjoy it. Marketing is the same. If you put some time and effort in, you talk to some people, get some training on how to do it, you'll start to understand that marketing is fun. And then you'll actually start to enjoy it. And when people say to you, what do you think about marketing? You go, oh, I love it. I really love marketing. I do. I think I just find it fun. Nothing better. Come up with an idea just out of nowhere, applying it and seeing it work. And you go, God damn, I'm a genius.
I like the problem solving. I think there's a lot of issues that can come up, and you're just always, as much as this kind of, as marketing is changing, it gives you a chance to kind of stay on top of things and experiment. Like you said, sometimes you're going to have home runs, sometimes you're going to whiff, but at the same time, you get out there by doing, and not just kind of sitting on the sidelines and just waiting for some miracle thing to come along.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters what platforms or what new technology comes up. Bottom line is, patients just want to know you care about them.
Absolutely.
And marketing can let them know that you do care about them. So, okay, Jim, that's it for me this week.
That was a good topic. Thanks for that. Obviously, I'm someone who likes marketing. So, but understanding, we're a little bit biased. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you have the Podiatry Marketing podcast. We're probably biased. And the thing is, probably people listening to this already know that they like marketing. But I'm sure there's a couple there, people listening to this who will go, I'm on the edge. Not sure whether I like marketing or not, but after today, they're going to love it.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jim, I will talk to you next week.
Sounds good, Tyson.
Okay, see ya.
Bye now.